We're going to get Brandon Cohen up to give you some real industry insight into real stuff that affects your dealerships from a legal and compliance point of view. As you know, Brandon Cohen is the legal compliance executive at MOTUS. He looks after all the legal and compliance matters, and for his sins he got elected as the NADA national chairman, and he's doing a fabulous job for NADA. He keeps us informed of all the legal issues, keeps us in line, and he's going to share some of his insights in terms of some of the legal issues and compliance issues that are coming down the line that will affect your business. So Brandon, over to you, and blow them away.
With the legal presentation. So the first thing is there's no presentation. The only thing more boring than listening to a lawyer is listening to a lawyer and looking at slides. So I'm just going to talk and hopefully give you a little bit of insight into things that are here and things that are coming, and some news that we just got in this morning from the Department of Transport on AARTO and demerits and when they're starting. So some brand new stuff there that's coming into it. The idea behind it is that everything we're going to talk about is practical. That's something that in the dealer you can look at today, you can check today, you can see you're doing it, you're not doing it, apply it, don't apply it. You know, knowledge is power, and that's really what we're trying to do here. So we're going to start with the POPI stuff, because the thing with POPI is that it's now being used a lot more as an excuse not to do stuff than actually follow the rules. So anytime anyone asks for something, it's like, no, but POPI says I can't. But it doesn't. It just says you can't do it if you didn't tell the guy you were going to do it. If I take your information and I tell you I'm going to use it for that, I can use it for that. When I've finished using it, I can't put it there and then send it to someone else who sends it to someone else, and then you get 800,000 people phoning you, WhatsApping you, and SMSing you about everything, and it's onto you. Anyway, so this is not really about what POPI is, and that it's 2 or 3 areas that we've picked up that a lot of businesses and dealers are no different are struggling with. The first thing is just a note. Our regulator at the Information Regulator's Office is quite an interesting one. What they do is they don't put out press releases telling people what's changed, but then they do put out press releases when they find someone for not doing it. So it's a very difficult thing to stay up to date about what's going on. And one of the things that's out now and is due, and every business had to do it in South Africa, and if you haven't done it, please log on to the Information Regulator's website, is that you had to do your annual PIA update. Now, PIA is the Access to Information Act, the Progression of Access to Information Act. And really what it is your information officer who's registered to your dealer, to your business, to whatever, has to just go on, re-log in, re-request authorization, because they also didn't tell anyone they've changed their website and deleted all the previous information. So you've got to re-register, you've got to re-be approved, you then got to go in and you've got to fill in 8 questions, yes and no, and you've got to submit, and then they'll send you a document. If not, it's the potential of 100,000 Rand fine and all of these horrible things. Did they tell anyone? Has there been a press release? Does anyone know about it? No. You have to go on their website every single day and you watch, and then all of a sudden something pops up. Please fill in your PIA. So it's part of POPI, even though it's another act, but it's something no one told anyone. So that's what these kind of things are for, telling you guys what's right. You know, you attend, you're like, okay, we can go do it. It's pretty quick, pretty easy. Just make sure your information officer has their certificate number and everything, and then you can get it done. And that's every year, that's a requirement. The next thing with POPI, and the big development that came out a couple of weeks ago, was that the Information Regulator issued their very first enforcement notice. They did not attach it to a fine. There's the threat of a fine, and the fines in POPI are huge. And they include jail time. It hasn't happened, but, you know. So what the enforcement notice was about something that we all engage in, which is marketing. And it was, what are we actually allowed to do and not allowed to do when we market? And what happened on this enforcement notice, there was a training company, a small training company, I can't remember their name, they were so small, never heard of them before. And what they did is they basically spammed people on email about their and we get it all the time from training companies. Hey guys, I actually got one now on my phone. Hey guys, we're doing a corporate something or other. Do you want to come to attend it? Blah, 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 that kind of training stuff. And And the things that they didn't do, they firstly didn't have people's permission to send it to them. They weren't on their customer lists already. They weren't engaged correctly, and there's a whole POPI thing. I'll talk to that now. And the second thing is they didn't give them the real opportunity to opt out. The bottom of their messages always said, click here to opt out, but if you did, you just stayed on their database. And you still got it again and again and again and again. And at least they had the opt-out wording. And the regulator said that's quite nice, because most people don't even say opt-out. They just spam you with messages, and that's life. So the enforcement notice was issued, and for the first time, the regulator clarified what we need to do. So the first thing they said is that telephone calls are still considered electronic marketing. Now, electronic marketing is governed by the Act, and everyone thought, well, it didn't say telephone, so we could phone and spam people as much as we want as long as we spoke to them. It says, no, you can't. Telephone calls are part of the Act. So what that means is you do get your free call, but you can't get your free cold call, that we used to call it, prospecting call, to start going, hey, can I now sell you this car? You can call to get permission to talk to them again to sell them something, which sounds weird, but that's the rule. If you've got them on your database and they've properly consented, as long as you keep giving them the opt-out, you can talk to them as often as you want. But another thing that's very interesting that they said is that consent to marketing is only legally valid if given on what's called a Form 4 document. And anything not done on a Form 4 is not consent. So everyone's like, what the hell is a Form 4? It's a document issued by the regulator. It's 4 pages long. It's called Form 4 because it was the fourth form in the Act and sits in the back. But basically what it says is it's yes and no to marketing, and then it also says what type of marketing would you be okay with. And it's got SMS, email, telephone, whatever. And you have to record it that way, and it also tells people what personal information is, what processing means, and all of that. And the regulator said, if you do not do it on a Form 4, they did not give you consent. Now that's quite a big jump to everything we've ever heard. Again, POPI's like not what everyone is told all the time. So it's just something to just double check always. Anyone you're talking to, whether they've been your clients forever, whether the new sales exec came with their little book of clients and all of that kind of stuff, they may have stolen it from their previous employer. Don't just use it. But the whole thing is, did you get it legally? And if you're not sure, you can make a call and say, we do have your information. Is it okay that we keep it on our database? And we talk to you. And if they say no, actually take it off. Now, that's the big one. It's the actually taking it off and not reprospecting that same one by just handing it to the next sales exec or the next sales exec or the next sales exec. This also comes with finance applications. You can't reprocess finance applications without having permission to do so, having spoken to the person, because that not only is a POPI offense, but it's also a National Credit Act offense by doing someone's finance app without actually telling them. It sounds very nice to go, hey, we've checked your finance, you qualify for another 400,000 Rand, do you want a car? Sounds nice, we did all the work for you, but it's illegal, so don't do it. So the whole point about this is there's a right way and a wrong way to do stuff, and the regulator is trying to hold back on the fines by issuing these notices and making them very public. The problem is the next company to do the exact same thing that was in a public enforcement notice, of course they're going to fine. They'll say, hey, we told everybody what to do, and we gave you all this time to fix it. Well, you didn't, so now we're going to nail you. So these are the kind of things that the regulator is looking at, making absolutely sure your databases are clean and correct. And that's a big one. Clean your data. And if you're not sure, don't do it, or phone and ask. But you can't phone, ask, and sell in the same call. They don't like that idea. So that's the one very big element of POPI that just people don't really get. The other one is what we call the Section 18 notice. And I was told earlier, people were joking with me that I used too many sections, but it's the only one I'm going to use here, the Section 18 notice. The Section 18 notice must be given to all customers. It's the disclosure notice to tell a customer what you're doing with their data. I'm processing your data because I'm selling you a car, we've got some value-added products, there's some accessories, you've said I can market to you, so we're going to put that in there. But that document, and it's a nice one because you don't really need to pay lawyers to help you make one. You go to Section 18 of the Act, it tells you, you must have A, B, C, and D, and you do it. But that is really vital to have. They don't have to sign for it, you just have to make sure you've got it and it's available to them, And if you're using electronic means, you're giving it to them. It's a nice thing because you can put in if you're storing data locally, if you're storing data overseas, how you're using the data, how you're going to hold it. Anything goes wrong, you prove you've given it to them. It's very clear, and it's great. So those are the only things in POPIA that I really wanted to talk about, because these are the things we're seeing across the NADA when we talk to the groups and we talk to the independents and we talk to the smaller guys. This is universal no matter how big the business is. These are the things everyone is grappling with in POPIA. I mean, the Act is huge, and there's millions of other things, and I don't want to go into that. Those were the things that are immediate risks because the regulator is immediately currently looking at those elements. Section 18 and consent to market on Form 4. Just if you can keep those in line, you've got a very good wicket on everything else. The other area of extreme importance in our world, or it will become really important, is AARTO, the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Act of 1998. It's been that long that they've been trying to bring demerits in, 26 years, and it's still not working. Anyway, demerits were supposed to start on the 1st of September this year. That was then pulled back a bit because government was running way behind its rollout process. The head chief advocate involved in doing this and the rollout and the laws, he just put out a thing this morning on a closed email, and basically the new timeline, we don't believe it's going to actually happen, but the new timeline is 1 July, phase 2 of the rollout will start. Phase 1 was bringing the big municipalities on board. Phase 2 is now the small municipalities. By the end of September, they want to bring in the last 134 municipalities on board, the tiny ones. They will take the longest. They've got to go into each municipality. They've got to see, do you have internet? Do you have computers? Do you have this? Do you have that? Can you link to the Road Traffic Management Corporation database? Can you do all of that stuff? Have you trained your staff? Do they know how to use all this stuff? So that one, allegedly, magically will be done at 134 different municipalities by September. And then what they want to do is mid-2025 introduce demerits. Now, that's the one everyone talks about and thinks about. You get 15 demerits, your license is suspended. You're a good little bunny for every month that you're good. You get 1 point back, and you can start driving again. But if you get 1 point back, start driving, get 3 points, you're out of the thing. If your license is suspended 3 times, you're deleted from the system. You start again at learner's license. You apply, you do your learners, you book a test. I don't want to ever do that ever again. It sucked. So no. But that's the process. And when your license is suspended, you are required, good luck trying to do this because I'm not, to go to a testing center and hand them your license card and hope they don't lose it. And when you have the points back, you can go fetch it from them. I should have put a poll. How many of you think they'll actually find it when you go back? I think the answer will be 0. But these are the realities. Now, that sounds all good and well, so, oh, great. So who knows, people buy cars, might or might not. But now start thinking about the practical implications of AARTO on your dealer and on your business. Has your HR updated its policies to deal with staff members that have licenses, number 1, suspended, number 2, lost? You can't automatically say, oh, well, you don't fulfill the basic conditions of your job, so therefore you're out. Because a lot of jobs don't need a driver's license anymore inside the dealer. Provided that person is based in dealer all day, some technicians, possibly F&I and things like that, if they can figure out a way to get to work every morning and get home every night, technically they can do their job, and therefore in terms of labor law, they carry on. But if you've got a parts delivery person or a sales executive who has to go on test drives just in case the person does something silly on the car, they have to drive with a valid license to do their job. Now, you have to have a policy in place in terms of labor law. You have to have told everyone that. You have to have trained them on that. And they need to know the implications of having a suspended license versus a lost license, because it affects your daily activities, and you can't just react then. So these are the things of AARTO that a lot of us haven't actually grappled with because we just think demerits, I don't want to get points on my license. So those are the kind of things that now that we have this timeline, basically till this time next year, it's about a year to get all of this in place, to go through every job in the dealer portfolio and say, do they need a license or not, a valid driver's license. The other side of this is the policies being developed through the banks and on our side for financing. And can you get insurance with a suspended driver's license? You still got it, but it's suspended. Can you get finance on a suspended license? Legally, probably, but from a risk perspective, you might not want to. And how many suspensions? And who's going to check? And how are we going to check that? Are we going to do it at dealer level? Are the banks going to do it at their level? Who is the Road Traffic Management Corporation, the Road Traffic Infringement Authority, going to give access to actually check the demerit status and license status? They're saying they can't give blanket access because of POPI. See how everything links together. You can't just go check my status because that's my private information. It's technically not. It's legal information. So they're getting it wrong and we're fighting with them. But they're saying, no, POPI says we can't. So then how do you do it? You ask and they lie. So you submit that to the bank and the bank can't check itself. Now what happens? Now you release a car to an unlicensed driver. National Road Traffic Act says you can't do that. You're liable for doing that. So there's all of these things, and it's not to create panic to say we've got a year, these are the things we have to think about. These are the things we have to plan for. These are the things when a customer comes on a test drive, we have to be absolutely pedantic about getting a copy of their license, and somehow when somebody figures out a way we're allowed to check it, to check that, to see if they're actually allowed to be on the road. The other thing, and this is a massive thing, and the last thing on AARTO that I'm going to say, is that because points accrue somewhere, you absolutely have to be completely pedantic about knowing who's driving what car when. Every second a sales exec takes a car out, takes a car home, every single test drive, even if you're doing 10 in a day, you have to know, because how this works is you'll receive an infringement notice. And that will say that on such and such a date you went through this camera and there's a fine, and that fine is whatever rand value, but it also accrues 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. If you know who it is, sorry, I have to use another one here, use an R27 form, and you direct that fine to that person. Great. What if I don't know? If you don't know who it is, the fine goes to the vehicle. Yes, a car actually now gets a fine, and a car gets the demerits. Think about how quickly a test vehicle can get 15 points. Speeding is 3 points. Speeding way over the thing is 6 points immediately. 2 infringements, car's done. Car is parked. You cannot sell it. You cannot drive it. It is on the vehicle until the vehicle's points, 1 point per month reduced. So admin becomes quite an important role, driver tracking, because if I can direct it, I direct it. You drove it, cool. Mr. Customer, you signed for it, you did the test drive, redirect to you, great. It doesn't matter whether I say yes or no. Can I allocate who it was and redirect that? Because I do not want it coming back onto my vehicle, because I need to be able to use this vehicle and sell this vehicle and drive this vehicle. And we are the only country in the world, we believe, that is trying to put points on cars. We're innovative. It's cool. Everyone else said, leave it with the people. We're like, hey, add it to the car. Car, you can know where it is at all times. But that's a big thing. And our admin functions, we just polled a couple of dealers to say, truthfully, do you know who's driving your car every second of every day? And the answer categorically is no, absolutely not. Someone takes keys, drives a car, We don't even know half the staff who's driving what at night. So now you will have to know categorically that booking in and out tagging system is going to be vital. And what we like to do, and this is why I'm bringing it up technically a year in advance, is if you start now, you can work out all the teething problems now before it means anything, so that by the time it starts, it's business as usual. Business as usual creates confidence. Confidence allows you to sell more stuff. Freaking out on day one is not good for customers, it's not good for staff, it's not good for us. So that's kind of, the way we're trying to do it and things like that. And then the third one, and the last one I'll talk to, it's my favorite. My colleagues don't like it very much, called FICA. Financial Intelligence Center Act. The onboarding of clients, know your customer, all that fun stuff. We all blame the banks for it. It's not them, it's the FIC. What it is onboarding someone to know who I'm dealing with, because they're kind of purchasing something pretty big and very expensive. And the problem that we face is, according to FIC data, the motor industry is the #1 area in South Africa for money laundering. More than Krugerrands, more than diamonds, more than anything. We are particularly targeted by the rhino horn guys and those kind of really bad people. Because I can take dirty money, buy a car, sell that car, get clean money. Simple as that. And I don't care if I lose half the value of the car today, the money was dirty anyway. So now I took R1 million dirty, I got a 500,000 Rand clean. And you did it for me, because you didn't follow the process, so I'm not liable, you're liable. So knowing who this customer is, knowing what they are, knowing how they came into the system, and knowing where their money comes from, cash, finance, is really important. Now, we've known this because we've had to do it forever, and a big thing we always get, yeah, but it's a cash customer. Yeah, they're the bigger risk. Trust me, banks have quite big controls to stop the finance customers doing naughty things. Cash is quite easy. When do they hit you? Friday afternoon, month end. They know exactly the cars you need to make target. You need that extra car to make target. Trust me, people start looking away. One car, I get my target. Guy starts screaming about, I don't want to see this F&I, you'll lose the deal. I'll go somewhere else if you have to take me to this person, blah, blah, blah. That's the person who's going to defraud you. It's quite simple. Normal people don't do that unless, this is a Brandon, not an AARTO thing, you haven't told them about the concept of an F&I, and then when they think they get in the car, oh, by the way, you've got to go into the principal's office and see somebody. And they're going to talk to you about a lot of stuff. Well, then the person gets quite upset because no one told them about this when they met you, when they did all those processes. Introduce them to the concept of F&I at the beginning. I'm quite passionate about this. But the point of the matter is FICA is extremely robust. Now, something in our favor that they did see sense and something we are extremely happy with is they have clarified the high-value goods dealer and how it works through a public compliance communication 58. So what it is, it's 100,000 Rand or more transaction. Transactions underneath that amount do not attract the FICA responsibilities. So in your workshops, in your parts department, they have very specifically said, you sell parts over the counter, 5 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand, not a problem. The FICA requirements do not. You do not need to onboard a customer there. Anything over the 100,000 Rand single transaction mark, you do. Single transaction, again, parts department, they buy 11 things at 10 grand each. It takes you over the 100,000, but it's not single transactions. It's 11 mini transactions in one. So you don't have to worry. But we sell cars, and it's very rare we sell a car under 100,000 Rand these days, especially in the new market. It's impossible. So FICA will hit you there. You have to do all the assessments properly. The assessment criteria is extremely strict since we were put on the Financial Action Task Force grey list for being naughty and not knowing who our customers are. So we have to sanction screen. A lot of people don't know what that is and don't know how that works. Sanction screening, it sounds weird, but go for it, is you got to figure out if they're a terrorist or not. So what you got to do is you got to hit the UN 1264, 1267 lists, and you got to check that. Now, bigger groups, or those of you using the bigger systems in your dealers, you'll be able to electronically link in. They will pull the data for you. It will sanction screen, and it'll tell you you're cool. Or it'll tell you you're not cool. You also have to have a process in place when it says you're not cool. What do you do about it? Do you de-risk, i.e. not do the transaction or not? FICA has actually said, please don't de-risk transactions unless you know for a fact they're a terrorist. For everything else, if they're criminals and that, try carry on the transaction, but report it through a suspicious and unusual transaction report so we can measure it, monitor it, and try and catch the baddies. Because if you just stop there, they go away, and who cares? Why did we do this? But it's a big thing. But at least it now only applies to that vehicle over 100 grand. And that's a huge thing. Another thing you have to do, and the FIC is on site, and they are doing dealer inspections, is you must make sure you have your risk management and compliance program in place, your RMCP, and you must have it board approved, and you must be able to prove you trained your staff. It's all great and well, head office has it. Do you have it at dealer level? Has every staff member who can deal with a customer seen it? Do they know what it means? Can they apply it? Good luck answering that one. It's difficult. It's big stuff in these documents. Ultimate beneficial ownership is in there. Does every staff member know? You're sitting here, you work for dealerships. Do you even know what the true ultimate beneficial ownership requirements are? No, there's a process. So that's why, that's how they're going to nail you and us and everyone. UBO is the human that sits in the back that makes the ultimate decision. Our regulator came out last week Friday with an enhanced version of a new compliance communication 121, and they've categorically stated it's someone who has 5% control or shares, right at the top. 5%. There's 20 people that can do it. And if they have under 5 but they exercise control, then they also could be. And do you have a process in your dealer to ask the customer, record what they say, and figure out how many lines you need to go up? Because I can be a trust. There's trustees. I've got to get all the trustees. But a trustee could be another trust. Now I've got to go up that level. There could be another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And I've got to work out all the way to the warm board at the top. There is no way to validate it yet. You have to ask, you have to record. SIPSI is trying to figure out a way to validate, but there'll be about a year until they get it right. But these are the things we have to do in every single transaction over 100 grand by law. And your F&Is should be doing them, they should be able to, but again, the process is everyone going there early enough? Is everyone seeing them? Are they doing their thing properly? If you have technology, is the technology being used the way it's supposed to be used? Because it's really cool if you've got the tech, but not everyone can afford to use the tech on every single transaction. But then again, realistically, what's $40 against a car? And fines of up to 100 million rand? Spend the $40, do your checks, see if it's okay. Just make sure the deal is kosher. I mean, it's really a big thing. It costs quite expensive. We're not selling many of them. Let's make sure that what we do sell so sold, that it doesn't come back with fines and penalties and stress and training and problems. But this document called the RMCP is very, very important. And it is required that everybody knows it exists and everyone knows what's in it. And it assesses every single type of client that you have. Cash clients, corporate clients, natural people, this person, that person, that. It's got to cover every single type of product you sell, every geography, your risk-based analysis is huge. You cannot buy these off the shelf. You have to make it bespoke to your business. And that's another thing. A lot of consultants are going out there, I've got an RMCP, just buy it, use it, fill it in. No, it has to be to your own business. Only your business in its geography knows its risk. There are standard risks, online purchases, this kind of purchase, that kind of purchase, but you've got to know your stuff. And that's where the stuff gets complicated. And this is the knee-jerk reaction to being put on the grey list. We are trying to fix everything at once and just put all the stress on a dealer. So you just try to sell a car. I've got to do this, I've got to do POPIA, I've got to do AARTO, I've got to do that one, I've got to do that one, I've got 500 other acts. But that's life. We are not going to get away with it. This is policy. And yes, we're heavily regulated, possibly over-regulated. But the problem is, unfortunately, up until now, when something doesn't work, instead of people looking inwards, and I'm talking about the policymakers, government, going, maybe we should learn how to enforce it, they go, maybe we should make it more tough. Because it's obviously your fault and not ours. So we're going to make it even more tough for you. And it's not going to change. It's going to keep happening. But those businesses that will remain and those businesses that do well are the ones that take all of this, don't fight it, figure out the best way to do it, because all of this can be used to build trust with a customer. We're going to show you this. You know what, sir, I'm going to check your things on a bunch of databases and let's see what it comes back with. There's ID fraud, there's this, there's that, let's see what we get. It can be done in a positive way instead of going, oh, well, government says I have to do this, so I'm going to scan you. Because that's quite negative and it looks like I don't trust you. So it's how we do what we do because we can't get away from doing it. So all I wanted to do really, and that's why I didn't have the things and I didn't have the slides and I'm almost to the minute where I need to be. So there's not much time, but is there any huge burning question? Please say no. Before we get to this amazing poll, while you're thinking of that question you're not going to ask, see where we are with this one, based on what I've told you, what truly being prepared means. I'm really glad the fourth one is on 0. Because that would have been a bit of a useless presentation then. Okay, so for the third that are ready, congratulations. You're good for that. I was expecting a lot more on this bottom quadrant. And here it comes. There we go. That looks more correct. Of course you didn't know, because it's just so much. But you've got a year. And NARDA will be there for you. We will talk. We are talking. We talked last month to the regulator. We will keep talking to the regulator. We will try what we can. If you read your newsletters, news flashes, and things like that, all this kind of stuff we're talking about now, we're going to be a little bit better at getting you the new information as it comes out. It's not meant to be legal advice. It's just to let you know about it, and you choose what you do with it. Talk to your internal legal counsel, external counsel.